dashboard that looks like this. So dashboard that looks like this, that will help us just to be able to understand how we can come to a point whereby we'll be good at creating visualizations. And then I think after today's class, I think the next class will be more about data, looking at Power BI service. So Power BI service is majorly the front end. So I managed to come up with the Power BI, like to access my Power BI on the Power BI service end. So Power BI service end basically is just how you're able to display your reports on the web like this. You can see this the web URL, and then it's referencing the organization uh, where like I published the report from. So this is how it looks like, and you can see the report that we're able to build. So we'll need to come up with something almost like this by end of today's class. So stay tuned, enjoy. But before we proceed, I'd like to hear maybe if there's anyone who had a question, from our previous session. Any questions, any comments, or anything maybe someone might have been reading through somewhere and they felt like they needed to ask a question. So it's open for you.
Are you sharing? Are you sharing something? You mentioned that this is what we want to do today, but I don't see anything.
Bad. So sorry. Seem not to have shared my screen. Okay, yeah. Sorry. So yeah, this is the Power BI service that I was talking about. I wanted us to be able to build, okay, not exactly this, but at least a dashboard report, a Power BI dashboard report that will be able to speak into some of the needs. So that's why I've shared the data set that populated this dashboard is exactly the same data set that we'll be using. So this will be endeavoring to be going at the end of our session today. And so for us to be able to do that, I shared this data set during class. No, not during class. I shared this data set for us in our on email. And I believe most of us have been able to download the data set just to be able to get to learn and understand what is entailed in the data. So I think this is always the first thing for you to be able to look at. Whenever you receive a data set, you want to understand what is entailed in the data set. So that is always the first thing. So just as a first, so that by the time we're going through the data set and we start loading it into Power BI, you will already be knowing at least what are some of the things to expect. And so let's start here. So you can see our data set is just basically data set that carries details of the employees. So you have the employee name, you have the employee ID, the married ID, then you have the marital status ID, the gender ID. So I think this ID is not really important here for now, because I think there's a place I've been able to decode them. So just ignore that for now. Then you have the position of that particular employee. So you want to be able to tell which particular function that particular individual works in. So it's more of, more of the role for that particular individual. So you can be able to see the CIO, the data analyst, the data architect, the IT manager, the senior BI developer, the accountant, the senior network engineer, all those people employed in that organization. The state they come from. So yeah, these are the states. Then you have the zip code. Then you have their date of birth. You have their it's their sex or their gender. Then you have the marital. So the ones that I was telling you, you've already decoded. So this is the marital status description. You have the citizenship. So you want to be able to tell the citizenship of these particular people, whether their race, then the date when they were hired, the date when they were terminated. So if you say a blank, it means this particular person still works for the organization, or they've not been terminated. Then you have the termination reason. So you can see those. So you can see if it's blank here, and then of course we expect the logic here to be still employed. So you can see if it's blank, then it still shows not employed. For those who've been terminated, at least you can be able to see the reasons to why they were terminated. Then you look at the employment status. So you can either be active, terminated for cause, or voluntarily terminated. So if you are still active, it means you still work for the organization. Again, I expect here to be blank. For anything that is active, I expect the date of termination to be blank. Else, if the date of termination is populated, I expect here to either be a voluntary termination or a termination for cause. And then you have the department where the employee works. You have the manager. So like, for example, this employee one, the first employee, okay, reports to this manager. So this is the manager. And then this is a manager ID. I think not really important because we already decoded the manager's name. Then the recruitment source. So you're recruited from which source, where you're recruited from. Then your performance score. So whether you exceed expectations, you fully meet expectations, you need improvement, you need to improve, or you're on PIP. So again, that is already recorded here. And then you have the engagement survey. So they carry out engagement survey. So this is an engagement survey that was carried out for the employees. Each and every person like populated the engagement. Then the employee satisfaction. So how satisfied are you with the employer? So again, you have the score here. The number of special projects that someone has conducted, again, that has been captured here. And then you'll also look at the last performance review date. So when they were last reviewed, and then of course here you have the days they've been late in the last 30 days. Yeah, in the last 30 days. Within the last 30 days, how many times has someone been late? So someone who's been late for 6 days, someone has been late for 0 days, so you can also be able to tell. And then the absences, this one is not decoded, but I think from since when someone was employed, the number of absences for that particular person, how many times they've missed work. So that is it. Any questions with regards to the data? Oh, sorry, there's also another data set. So we have two data sets. So we have that one. We have that one for the, like, generally the HR, and then we have the second one. So, and then we have the salaries data. So this is just basically what someone makes. So all the employee IDs, then the salaries they make. Any questions up to this point?
Okay, I have one.
Yes.
If you're given a data set like this one, let's say like there's 1,000 rows and columns, where it is
Mm.
not easy to tell a cell with a blank. How can you easily identify an outlier?
Yeah. So are you still asking? Okay, sorry.
Yes, yes, yes. Is there a way you can easily tell a cell with a blank when so that you can clean, as in you can focus on it, either you eliminate it or you insert a figure there. The process of cleaning, is there a shortcut?
Yeah, okay. Let's look at that when you start doing our data, like our data cleaning or data preparation in Power BI. I think there's a step I'll show you around it in Power Query Editor.
Okay.
Though I think during our last class I mentioned if you can get your data as clean as possible before you load it into Power BI, that would also be good because you also reduce the processing time for your data now when it comes here to Power BI. So again, that's also like another hack. But if you're not able to do that, you can bring it to Power BI and you'll still be able to check, to do some level of checks within your data to be able to ensure your data meets the required standards.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Okay. So silence means there are no questions. I believe it's gonna be quite a little bit intense. So I guess you focus, and then in case you have any questions, don't feel free. Like just feel free to raise them. Cut me short. Don't wait until we've gone so far, and then you come up maybe with something that was not working on your end. So it's more of a practical session. So we begin. So remember we talked about loading our data set, being able to transform it, then building visualizations. I think that will be the major thing that we'll be doing today. So we start by loading our data. So we go to Power BI. If you want to load your data set, so we just come to this. Okay, let me expand it so that it's easy for you. So you remember the get data thing. So you'll go to get data and then where you're getting your data from. So ours is simply an Excel workbook. The reason why I chose an Excel workbook is because at least each and every one of us can be able to access that on their computer. So I'll navigate this to exactly where my data is on my computer. So okay. So I'll need to navigate to where my data is stored on my computer. So you go to that specific folder. So I've gotten the folder where my data is. Then I'll click on open. So it will take a bit some time to load the data. Then I'll be able to see this window. So this window basically tells me my Excel workbook. So since it's a workbook, it has two working sheets on it. So you have the HR data set and you have the salaries data. So I just need to click on both because we need both of them. We need both of them in our report. So once you are done with that, I think I'm not going to transform right now. Transform basically means just opening up the Power Query editor. So I'll basically just load it first so that it's on my Power BI window. And then we'll go back to be able to try and see how we can be able to clean it. But that window just gives you a preview of the data that you're loading. So let's give it some time for it to be able to load. Okay, cool. So for you to be able to confirm whether your data set has been loaded, you'll be able to see here on the right side of the screen, here on data, you'll be able to see the data. So for you to be able to confirm, I told you, you will navigate to the table view just to be able to see what has been loaded. So you can see we have 311 rows of data in our data set, both on the HR data set and also on the salaries data set. But as you can see already, we have these unnecessary columns that are blank that were loaded into our data. I don't know. For mine, it will load this blank. For others, it doesn't normally load the blanks. So I don't normally understand why. But if like for this case, it means we need to do some data cleaning because these columns are necessary. So we don't necessarily are unnecessary. So we don't need them in our data. And then on the HR data set, in the HR data set, you can be able to see at least we have the data as expected. Yes, Clinton?
Yes, some of us were using computers which are like Toto. So they're
Okay.
loading very slow.
Okay, sorry. So that's why I'm here. Yeah, so
Faster.
how many of us have managed to load the data set? Those who are following with me, how many have managed to load the data set? Clinton, I know you're having an issue, so let me know once you're done. Anyone else experiencing a challenge loading the data? Anyone else experiencing a challenge loading the data? Okay, MK says they've managed, DJ says also they've managed. Okay, perfect. Okay, Clinton, we're waiting on you. Let us know once you are successful in loading the data set.
It's loaded.
Oh, it's loaded.
I'm just waiting for it to respond.
Okay.
Okay, can just proceed now.
Okay. Let's continue.
Yeah, it's continued. It's okay.
Okay. So at least most of you guys have been able to load the data. So you can be able to see everything. Like I was just trying to show you some of the data sets. So when once you've been able to load the data set, definitely you want to ensure like your data is into a format that you really want. Then so for you to be able to check on that, you go to transform data. So this is now the Power Query editor that will enable us now to have the capacity to do some level of data cleaning. So like in our case, like on the salaries data, we have unnecessary columns. So these will just be like using our memory, and we don't really need them. So for you to be able to do that, you just highlight the columns, and then we'll remove this particular column. So I'll just click on remove columns to be able to do that. So remember, the steps are being, whatever we're doing, all those steps are being recorded here. So if you did mess up on anything, you can definitely come here and change on that particular step. And then there's also okay, there's a question that was asked if we have blank. So say for example, in our case, we were looking at, yeah, we wanted to be able to look at maybe the completeness of data in our data set. So we talked about you going to this particular view, and then you check on the column distribution just to be able to ensure, like if you have any, oh, no, I think it's the column profile. No. Okay, sorry. I think the column quality. So the column quality here also enables you to be able to check how many values are empty, what percentage of values are empty within your data. So let's check on which column? The column that had active employees. Okay, let's go. Let's scroll. Yeah, so you can be able to see, like for example, this date of termination, it shows that 67% of values in your data sets are empty. So you can choose to remove the empties, but in our case, we can't remove empty because we already know the reason why values in these particular columns are empty. So the same thing we'll need to be able to see, to be able to see it on the other column of the employee status. Where is it? Okay. Okay, but I think we've all been able to see. So if we have a null value, it basically means that column is empty. So it's up to you to be able to make that decision, to be able to check whether you can be able to see like whether it's and then if you wanted to check, say for example, the column profile, let's use the salary. Let's use this salaries column and check the column profile. So when you're talking about trying to understand whether there are outliers in your data set or no. So you can use this column profile because you can be able to see it's showing us what the maximum value in this column is and the minimum value in that particular column. And then you can also be able to see the average and the standard deviation. And then you can be able to make a decision to be able to see whether this person with the highest salary of maybe 250,000, it's an outlier in a data set or not. So those are some of the things that you can be able to easily check to be able to make a decision on whether you need to be able to remove something. And then when you talk about column distribution, basically enables you to be able to check. So say, for example, a column like this particular one for the employee ID, definitely we expect here to have unique values because you only expect one employee ID appearing in this column because it's for salary. So an employee ID with more like an employee ID with more than one salary, it means there could be something wrong within your data, not unless your data is coming in as maybe having maybe also a date, so that you can also be, when you're picking your salaries, you can pick the most recent salary using the date timestamp. So that's also like another thing. But for our case, since it's just like a static data set, for now we are just picking these two values. So we're assuming this is the most current salary for that particular employee in our data set. So that is the case. Then so come here to the HR data set. So let's see. So we've been able to check the column profile, and we were able to see. So you can be able to see here we have two distinct values, and none of them is unique. Here we have 311, and all the 311 are unique. So then here we have the marital status. We have 5 distinct, and 0 of them are unique. And then here we have on the performance score, we only have, okay, you also have 5 distinct. Okay, let's check at the department. So we have only one department that is unique. So we'll need to be able to find out. So it means there's just a department that has only one individual in this particular organization. So we'll try and check to be able to find out which one. And then of course, you have your dates, so they are appearing okay. So you can be able to see at the top of these particular columns. You can easily be able to decode which one is a date, which one is a text value, which one is a number. So you can be able to see just by the time your column is starting to show in the Power Query editor, you can be able to tell the column type. And so that enables you to be able to easily work with the data. So this is a very powerful tool for you to be able to that can help you to be able to make some of those informed decisions when you're doing your data cleaning. Any questions up to this point? Any questions? Okay, no questions. So let's proceed. So once you've been able to do your data cleaning and you have ensured your data is into the right format and the right shape. So remember here on data cleaning, it's not only removing columns, you can also be able to remove a row. So say, for example, there are certain rows that you don't want. You can easily be able to remove those specific rows. Say, for example, you had maybe a department that maybe, okay, not a department. Okay, let's look at maybe the state. And you thought maybe it was not named correctly and you wanted to change. So you can still be able to find the name of a specific place, and then you're able to replace it. So say, for example, yeah, here on state. So let's say we have this state labeled maybe New York, NY, and we want to be able to change that. So you can just come highlight that column, then you can come, then you highlight, then you go to replace values. So it loads. Then you want to look for a state called NY, and you want to call it New York. So you just change that to New York. New York, and then you click OK. And then we'll search for anything. So let's check if you have a New York somewhere. So everything that is NY. So we don't have any NY anymore. So we changed that, and we have renamed everything that was NY to New York. So that is just an example, but I don't want to make that change. So I'll just remove that. So this is the step that we did. So I just want to remove this step because it's not necessary right now. I think we just maintain the state names there. I just was trying to demonstrate that to you. I think there's a question on chat or something. Okay, no question. So that is just like an example of how you can be able to replace a value in the columns. Then there are times you come, your data appears like this. So at some point, Power BI will automatically promote this first row to headers. At some point, it will not. So you can be able to see when we loaded the data, automatically Power BI did this step for us. So at some point, and I believe there are also some people who've been able to encounter a similar thing. So they've loaded your data set, but you realize your data is appearing like this. So the first row, instead of showing the first ID here, this ID 1026, it's basically showing the the column name. So you can be able to change that by just clicking on this. So if I remove this step, this is the step that now promotes it to header. So, but you just use this particular value here. Use your first row as headers, and it will be able to promote the first row to become your header. So a header meaning now it becomes now your column name. So that is just the first some of the things you can be able to do. So say for example we wanted to split this employee name. So that we just remain with maybe a single name for each and every employee. Again, that is still possible. So someone is asking, what if there are many New Yorks and you want to change all of them each with its own name? So it means it's not only like you have many New York, so you'll have to find like what distinguishes the one New York that you want to give it a different name from the other. So if it's maybe a New York and you want to change maybe just for specific employee ID and change it to a different location because you know they come from that location that you know which one. Again, you have that liberty when you're doing the replacement of your values so that you change it over here. You can change it by yourself. So you just replace the values. So you check. So it will be a little bit of a difficult task. So you'll have to check. Maybe you can choose to filter only for that state. Then you'll check maybe the other column that is the differentiator for you to be able to tell which New York you are renaming with, so that you don't replace all the values. So you can still be able to do that. So say for example, I want to change only, so like for example, this one is MA for everyone. I only need to change this. I'll just click on that and replace value. So it's asking me to insert a step because there's a step immediately before this. So I'll need to click on the last step on the applied steps. Then I come here and then click on that. Then I need to replace values. So I want to replace values for only that specific column. So I replace it with that. Okay, my bad. It's replacing everything. So apparently you'll have to find anyway. So there are two things you need to do. You need to check which is your differentiator for that particular column you want to replace with, which is the other differentiator. Then you can come so that when you're doing the replacing, you also like putting that other column under consideration before you replace. Because if you just replace this one specific one, it replaces everything in that particular column. But you can still be able to edit, I believe. Okay, not sure. I think there's a way where you could be able. Okay, you can't do that. But anyway, the best thing would be you need to find the second differentiator or the third, like the other differentiator for that, and then you can be able to make those particular changes. So that is it for data cleaning. And then of course here on transform, like it has automatically detected all our data types in the correct format, so that's a good thing. But if maybe you had a data and it has not been decoded as a date, you just highlight your column and come here, change the data type and give it the data type that you want, so that by the time you're doing your analysis, your data, like you want to use this as a date, it's automatically able to remember that this is a date formatted function. If this was maybe like, for example, this is a number and you realize maybe it had been decoded as maybe a text value. Again, you need to change so that when you're going to do maybe something like a sum and like a summation, and this one is decoded as a text value, definitely Power BI will not be able to understand, because maybe you can't sum text value, so it will keep giving you that particular error. Then the format. So say for example, you wanted to capitalize words, maybe this column, again, you can still be able to utilize. So you can try play around. If you wanted to add a column, so you can still be able to add what you're calling a conditional column. So an example will be, let's take a consideration like this one for gender. So you remember the gender column, I think it sets this column, head values like F and M. So we want it to, whenever it finds an F, it returns female. On the new column that we are creating. So we are adding a new conditional column. Then again, if we find on sex equals to M, we can decode it as male. So, and then anything else we want it to return blank. So this new column, we are calling it gender. Then we click OK. So we'll have added a conditional column. Okay. So the M, did I do anything wrong? Because you can see, we have nulls, so we don't have male. So let's check what we might have done not correctly. Okay. Don't know if it has a space. Yeah. So male had a space on it. That's why you couldn't be able to decode the gender. But now everything is correct. So at some point, yeah, it might require you to be curious enough to be able to figure out what exactly might have taken place on your data. So you have to be as curious enough, keep on asking yourselves what other thing you need to be able to check through the entire process. I think on view, we've been able to handle tools, not necessarily anything of importance here. So the next thing, let's close and apply so that we're able to apply those changes. So that was on Power Query Editor. So the moment you close and apply, so that these changes that we've been able to make, like adding the new column, so that this particular new column for gender is able to appear over here. So initially we did not have this gender column. If you check the dataset that we loaded, this is the last column, and so we've added a new column, a conditional column called this. So we are good. So the next thing we'll be able to like create relationships in our data. So again, when you loaded Power BI, you can see automatically this relationship was created. So since this relationship was automatically created, I'll just delete it so that I can be able to demonstrate what you need to do in a situation whereby this relationship is not created. So first of all, you need to be able to identify which particular columns need to be used in your relationship. So if you remember very well on our Excel sheet, you realized we had these two data sets. So we had the employee ID, what is common in both your data sets, that will be able to ensure that you're able to have like a working, like a relationship that works and functions as according to what is entailed in your data. So the first one is, you can be able to see here we have only employee ID and the salary. And then here we have the employee ID, and then we have these other columns that are here. So I think when we are looking at the Power Query Editor, I showed you that we had 311 values, 311 rows in our HR dataset and 311 values. So we assumed that, and we also checked and ensured that both of them were like for both the two datasets, each and every value was unique. And so let's check just quickly to be able to see. So is that the case? So yeah, you can be able to see. So this is the employee ID. So you can see it has 311 rows and 311 of them are distinct values. And say, for example, we wanted to check this particular employee here. Maybe we just copy the value and we want to be able to see how much they earn. So how to navigate the data set. So here, so it automatically chooses the data set, like the data set with they are ordered in like the alphabet. So the second data set. So for you to be able to click so that you're able to activate this second data set, you'll navigate to the right side of your screen and click on salaries. So I copied a value for like one employee just to be able to see whether that value appears here. And then I'll go to number filters, and then I'll say equals, so that I can put in this value, and then I click here, and then I just click OK, so that I can be able to see. So you can be able to see this particular employee ID 126 and 62,506. I can assume this should be in dollars. So that is like my assumption. Then I can clear all filters just to be able, that was just trying to be able to verify that is like some of like the data that we have here is seamless to whatever we have on the other side. And so since I can confirm, like, because I'm the one who created this salaries data, I copied actually the exact same. So let's confirm like this employee. Okay, I'm just picking the first one, but randomly, let's confirm that this still employee ID 110 is also in this data set here. So you can click on this, and then I put number filters, then I say equals to, and then I paste it here, and then I click OK, so that you're able to confirm. So you can be able to see, yeah, it's true. This employee IDs, all of them appear. So I can confirm that because I had already done the checks within the data. So for me to be able to create a relationship between the two, the first option will be to be able just to link directly the two data. So I'll scroll between employee ID and employee ID, and then I'll just click on this one and drag it to this other one. Then it will pop up this particular window, So apparently my Power BI has had issues. So I can't exactly see the option to say okay here, but I hacked out a way. So I just need to click on this tab window. And then it's there, and then it's there, and then it's there, and then I click enter. So there's an okay button down there. You didn't see it, but on your computer, I believe you can see it. So that's what you used to be able to create the relationship. So if you wanted to investigate what's being used in the relationship, of course, I highlighted employee ID and employee ID. Then I was able to check. So the first table that I was coming from is the salaries table. The second table that I'm highlighting to is the HR dataset table. And then this relationship is a one-to-one. So the cardinality of the relationship is determined in this way. So if you have, like, for example, hours, we only have like one, like the latest salary for that employee, because we've seen we only have 311 values on that data set, and also 311 values for employees on the HR dataset, employees dataset. So this is a one-to-one. But if it's a many-to-one, it means maybe we had multiple salaries here, but maybe we're only picking, like when you come to the HR dataset table, it means you have only the employee ID appearing once. So that is the cardinality of how the relationship works. And then you move to a one-to-many. A one-to-many is actually the opposite of a many to one. So the other scenario will be, maybe you have like on the salaries data set, we had only the employee ID appearing once, like the distinct values are only 311 here. But when you come to the HR data set, maybe the employee ID is appearing more than once, just for the demonstration purposes in the scenario of our data set. Then many to many, it means you have the employee ID appearing multiple times in this table, and the employee ID also appearing multiple times in the second data set. So that is just how you're able to decode. And then the cross filter direction, you can either have it both or in a single direction. So either it's coming from you only want that when someone filters using anything from the salaries table, the filter applies only in one direction, so that if I can picked maybe an employee name on this, it will not be able to interact with maybe the other one. So that is a single-sided cross filter direction. But since you are putting both, it means it ensures you can easily be able to interact with both. So that's how you're able to create a relationship within this data, within the data set. But if that's not the case, you can still come here because you already have, so you just create a new relationship, and then you're able to pick the table, maybe that, you'll still arrive to the same thing that you've done. So I can't recreate the relationship because there's already an existing relationship between the two tables. So you can't create more than one relationship between two tables, two same tables. So that will be ambiguous. So once we are done with that, I think we are good now to go. We can say, we can gladly, okay, you can comfortably say we have a basic data model that can help us to be able to build something like this. And so, okay, so we can what we are seeing here is data, like a sample for a dashboard. We are not necessarily going to build everything as is here. So based on this, okay, these are the columns that we have. I want us to come up with some metrics that we can be able to, okay, I want us to generate some metrics that we can be able to calculate so that it gives us like a perspective into the dashboard that we'll be able to build. So definitely one who wants to be able to build a dashboard, they need to be able to understand perhaps what are some of the metrics that you want to be able to display to your end users. And so at
I have
this
a
point,
question.
yes.
Just a quick one. As we go into building the dashboard, and I think the last time I might have asked this question to understand the AI built into this. Is it possible to get recommended dashboards based on its already evaluated on the data set. Is that something that Power BI does, that it has already evaluated the data set and can give you suggestions before you choose columns and such?
Okay. So, okay, in my response to that, Power BI does not like build for you like automatically. So the Copilot that has been integrated into Power BI at this point in time only enables you to like create maybe your measures using the DAX that you can be able to utilize. So you have to begin from yourself. The only thing that was available is like, for example, this Q&A. So say, for example, you will need to ask it a question. So you already understand your data. This is the data that you have on your Power BI. So like, for example, so you can be able to see, so these are some of the questions. Maybe you'll need to give it a question. Maybe it's basically maybe a question you can ask it and then it can help you build. Like, for example, you want to maybe check maybe okay, the total employees, total number of employees by gender. So this is like the one that we currently have. Okay. So let's use, okay, at some point, okay, let's see if it will, yeah. So it's able to generate the count of employee name by gender. So it's able to like help you come up with like a visual automatically by just asking, by you asking it. So there's this Q&A option over here that you can be able to utilize. But like an AI integrated, like such that you can easily be able to pull up a dashboard automatically, it depends on the questions that you have, because you have like so many data points. The only thing that I've seen that has quite been improved here is on the Power BI service that is more AI. Let me check. Okay, so you can be able to get these insights automatically on your data. So once you've been able to build your report or your dashboard, you can be able to load this Insights tab. So this Insights tab will try to be able to look at some of the trends within your data, and it will tell you maybe some of the things, maybe that you're falling short, maybe something that you did not report. So this is also something that I've seen that has already been integrated into this. So that is, yeah.
Yeah, just last question on this AI topic.
Mhm.
With the same data set that we have,
Mhm.
and with Claude AI or GPT, have you tried to interrogate those say Claude AI, and you insert this data set and you request a dashboard in Power BI to have options before you work on yours, to see what is out there, what the possibilities that are there before you now zero in what you're aiming to visualize?
I've not loaded my data set to any like AI agent to be able to check whether it can produce maybe a PBX file that I can be able to utilize. But maybe it's something you can explore, and then maybe let us know
Okay.
the next class, because you already have the data. Yeah.
ChatGPT does.
ChatGPT does. Okay. It generates a PBX file.
It does give you the suggestions
Okay.
and a few dashboards, but they're not, they're not as doesn't have so many information as, but it does give you the suggestions of the dashboards that you can create, the visuals.
Mm, yeah. No,
Thank you.
that's a good thing. I think if there's someone who's explored that, yeah, definitely you'll get those suggestions on what you can be able to build But I believe, yeah, artificial intelligence depends more also on like the human intelligence, because now it's your data. You need to be able to see like what is working for you. So yeah, as much as you'll generate that, you also need to be able to interrogate and be able to see what these numbers basically mean for your context. So that's the case. So at this point in time, maybe based on like our data set, maybe I'll request maybe each one of us to just be able to tell us maybe a metric that we can be able to track. Just a simple metric that we can be able to track. Anyone? You have the data. So what metric can we be able to track? Oh, okay.
Maybe
I
the-
understand. Yes, Martin.
maybe the month and the year with the most last performance review.
Okay, we can compare the month of the year with the latest performance review. Someone else? Yes, Edgar.
No, first of all, I'll admit that I don't have, I'm just viewing. I don't have the app yet. I'm working on that, but just retention, retention and what are the factors that are contributing to retention or attrition, state, salary, something like that.
Okay, so we'll be able to check on retention. Okay, so we have retention. Then we also have something to do with the performance scores. Someone else? Okay, just to mention, we also have like, for example, like, yeah, okay, put yourself in the shoe of maybe the HR, okay, the chief people officer in this organization, and this is the HR data set that is collected maybe on your CRM, or not CRM, but the HRIM that you have within your organization. So what are some of the things that you'll want to monitor on a day-to-day basis, so that you have an insight into the people within your organization? So that's just like the basic question. So of course, we'll talk about maybe the total number of employees. We need also to be able to understand maybe the total employees by, say, for example, by the gender. We need to be able to understand things like the retention. We'll need to be able to understand maybe the total number of employees by department and all these metrics that we can exhaust the list based on them. And so would also like be interested to look at the citizenship of employees within the organization. So I'll take you to this. So when you talked about, so we've seen how someone can be able to create a column, but this was just a conditional column directly from the Power Query editor. But you can still also be able to create a column directly here, what we're calling a calculated column. So we'll be able to see that. So say, for example, we wanted to be able to see the age of the employees, right? So we wanted to come up with something like, for example, the age of the employees. So, but we only given here the date of birth, right? So it's up to us for us to be able to decode the age of the employee. So what you can do is you'll just come to the data here, and then on these three dots on the table where you want to be able to create your column, then you'll click on this new column, because these are calculated column. So we want to call this column age. So age, so it comes automatically showing column. So for you to be able to calculate age, what are we supposed to do? We have the date of birth. If we are having the date of birth and you want to know the age of the employee, what are we supposed to do? Anyone? I have my date of birth and I want to tell my age. What am I supposed to do?
You subtract the date of today and the date of your birth and the date you were born.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. That's the correct answer. So Power BI has a function called today on DAX. So this is the date for today. Then I need to subtract the date of birth. So I need to call in the date of birth column. So it's written DOB, but I remember it's DOB because like I know I've seen it. So this is the date of birth, the DOB, but it's coming from the HR dataset. So if I start typing DOB, it will only bring anything DOB in any of the datasets that I'll have loaded here. So once it brings this pop-up, I can just click on it and then click, okay, it's not necessarily I need to add this, but I'll just, okay, it's adding it because it wants to record that as a date. Then I will enter. But now look at whatever it's coming on my column. So it's decoding it as a date again. Literally, I didn't want it to come as a date and time. So I need just to change the format of the column here because I wanted to return it as a whole number so that I'm able to tell. Yeah, so it's returning this, but this is the number of days. So I can change my function here so that I can take today.year. Okay, I can take this to be year so that I only extract the year. Then I pass in the date for today and close. Then I can change. I don't know if this one has year. Yes, it has here. Then I click on enter so that it only returns the age in years. So this becomes like our age in years. Yeah, so it has returned the age in years. So I'll quickly show you a small website here. So I'll also send this to you. So I told you like this now the DAX. So if you wanted to be able to learn more about DAX, I'm sharing the link on chat. So for you to be able to understand some of those functions. So the functions that we have used are basically date and time functions. So you can study more about it. So we used the today function. So let's see what today does. So today function returns the current date. So it returns the current date. So I think I needed to start there. So maybe I'll take it back just to be able to see. So if I take the year, so I think the same thing I've done. So I've taken today, but I'm taking the year from this today's date. Then I'm subtracting it from 1963 so that I need to be able to know what is like someone who's born in 1993. I need to be able to tell their age as of today. So that is just the first thing. And then this year function, I think we've also used it. We wanted to be able to understand what the year function does. So what does the year function do? So if you write the year and then you need to pass in a date so that it's able to returns the year of a date as a 4-digit integer in the range. This is the range that it returns it. So if I pick here and then I pick today's date, then we'll be able to see. So let's rework this function so that we're able to understand. So let me, I can just remove this. So if say I said here today, let's see what will be returned. So today returns today's date. Yeah. So this I changed here this to a whole number, so I can just change it again to a date so that we're able to appreciate when it brings today's date. So you can be able to see 29th of April, 2025. So the moment we use today here, it means even if we came here tomorrow, we'll still be able to find this function being dynamic enough to be able to accommodate those particular changes. So if I added today plus 1, so I'll have added 1 day, so it will be able to show me tomorrow's date. Basically that. So then I picked maybe year, the year function, then I pass in today, and then I close. So let's see what it returns. So it returns a date, but remember, we only needed to be able to see the year. So the format here needs only to be year. It's returned in 1995, 1905. Okay, should be 20. Okay, here should be a date. Okay, need to figure out. But anyway, when I use it in the function, it's working. So I don't know why it's not clear over here. So the moment we just wanted to be able to find the year here. So we wanted this to be as a whole number from my previous function, because what we want is like a number, because the age we're decoding here is in years. So the age in years, years. Yes, so that is the age in years for that for the employees in this particular organization. So that is how you can be able to create what you're calling a calculated column. There are so many other functions you can be able to create. So depending on the need, we shall continue to explore that. So we can also be able maybe to maybe create, okay, let's take a look at this particular column. We can see the eldest employee is 74 years. The oldest employee in this organization is 74 years. The youngest employee in this organization is 33 years old. So that is also like something we can be able to consider. So there's also another way we can be able to come up with we can create a way in which we can be able to put this into categories, so that we can create a category for the engineer, so that when you're doing our analysis, you can easily be able to count to be able to know maybe people within a certain age group category. So let's say an example of another calculated column. So I told you, if you wanted to create a calculated column, you just go to these three dots at the end of your data set, and then you click new column. And then it brings the word column here. But here we want to create an edge category, so that at least we exhaust some of the functions. Edge category. So edge category here, I need to use an if function, just the same way you use maybe an if function. So the logical conditions, if edge, so if edge in years, so the edge in years that we've created is less than or equal to 40, because we've seen the youngest employee is 33 years old. So anything less than or equal to 40, you want to say this is maybe age. Okay, you can say 0 to 40 years. But remember, this is like a text value, so we want to be able to decode it, so we have to put brackets to that. Okay, we can remove this, not necessary. So I can just say 0 to 40. Okay, I think it will be good to include 0 to 40 years. Then I can create and then I can create another if function here that checks. Okay, click Alt Enter, so that it's easy to track on my code. And then if anyone who was the age in years less than 50, less than or equal to 50, then I'll need to say here maybe 41 to 50 years. And then I'll move to the next one. If age in years is less than or equal to 60, then I need to return here, it should be 51 to 60 years. And then we go if age in years is less than or equal to 70, then we need to return 61 to 70 years. And then lastly, okay, I can put, okay, let me just include it, so that if age in years is greater than 70, Then I want to return 70 plus years. And I'll just enter. Yeah, so we've been able to create a categorization for years using an if statement. You can feel free to like rewrite it on your own just to be able to see. So for you to be able to validate again, you just come and check whether everything has been populated. So we don't have any blanks. So it means like each and every column that has anything to do with age has a number on it. So we are good to go. So when you are doing our analysis, we can still be able to check for all these. We can also be able to utilize that. And so that's how we're able to create a calculated column. Any questions? Any questions? So we are all tracking. Are we all tracking?
Okay,
Yes,
a quick one.
Yes.
Is that what we call a DAX?
Yeah, these are DAX functions.
Okay.
So I'll just go and reference it to maybe, yeah, I can reference it to this site where we are looking. So that is, it's more of a conditional statement. Oh yeah, it's a logical function. So you can check some of the logical functions, like for example, what an if statement does. It's more just the same way the normal statement we have on Excel. So you pass in the logical test, then the value is true, and then the value is false, what you want it to be able to return. So it checks a condition and returns the value when it's true. So in our case here, the condition we are checking is this age in years, and then of course what we are returning is this, and then we looped this statement instead to be able to check for these other conditional statements below it, because this is the first statement, and then instead of using a false statement here, we looped the if statement here so that we're able to check for these other conditions until the very last one. So like for example, instead of this, we just have said it should return 70 plus years, but we wanted to be very sure about what you're doing. That's why we did create our loop to the very, very last statement in our data.
Okay,
Mm,
maybe
yeah.
you can show us
Mhm.
how to how to create these calculated columns on another new table.
On another new table.
Yeah, on
So
another new.
okay, I don't understand the question. Like,
I mean,
okay, you can only create like a calculated column from a table that you're working from. I can't create a calculated column about data on this table. I create it on this other table because it wouldn't be there. Like even if I created a new column, maybe, and I started referencing the edge for this particular column here, it wouldn't build it here. So it has to be built in the exact same table. Or what was your question? Maybe I didn't understand. Maybe.
okay, there's a demo I saw somewhere. How
Mhm.
they were creating another table out of another table.
That's now like if you want to create what you're calling summary table. If you
Yeah,
can create
maybe some.
a summary table. So a summary table basically means I have this particular table here, but I want to maybe I want to check like for example maybe what will be maybe. Okay, I wished I had salaries on this table. Maybe there's total salaries by department, but that one does not necessitate us creating a summary table because we already have these two tables having a relationship. So if I picked maybe, okay, you can still create a summary table because that is also like a way for you to be able to understand. You will still be able to like create a summary table that you can, since the relationship already exists, you can be able to exploit. So let's say, for example, you want us to create a new table. So this summary table, you can call it, okay, let me just call it a summary table. So the summary table will look something like this. And the statement for creating a summary table is summarize. So I want to summarize you need to be able to start by maybe this HR data set. You need to call in the table, then comma, then you need to group by. So I want us to group by the maybe department. So this is the column we're using to group. Then I want us to be able to check maybe the new column we're creating. So maybe the new column we're creating, we have to put it into, because we are naming that particular column. So say we are saying the average, maybe performance, okay, I don't know, performance scores. The average performance scores, and then comma. Then I will want us to be able to bring in now the expression that does that. So I'll take the average now to be the function that I need to use to create. And then I need to create the average of, I think, I don't know, the performance. Yeah, the performance score. Okay, I don't know if the performance score, okay. Let's say the engagement, because I know the engagement survey is some number. Then I click on enter. Yeah, so it will be able to show me the engagement score, the average engagement scores by the departments, by all the departments that we have within the organization. So let me try and see if it's possible to add the salaries. So I can add here the total. Okay, then other name. Okay. Um, okay, so that's done. So I'll need to move here. Then I'll give it a second name here. I say total salaries. Total salaries. Then I'll come here and I'll say sum salary. The total salaries from this other table. Let me see if it works. Yeah. So you can still be able to link. So you can be able to see some the salaries. You can be able to see the department which has the highest, which consumes like most of the salaries within the organization. So it's the production department. So this is just like an example of a summary table that you can be able to come up with. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay. Someone else has their hand up.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, just a very quick one. If this data set we have now, after we've created all the columns we need, we've adjusted them the way we were doing before this example, and the data set changes every month. So every month, let's say the salaries go up by a percentage, and somebody leaves the company and somebody joins, but these are very few, maybe 20 for salaries all affected, but people leaving and joining are few. How do you merge the changes without changing this whatever we are working on, without starting afresh every time there's a minor change?
Okay, so okay, I think we needed to handle this later, but since it's been asked, so once you create all these particular columns, like the way we've created here, we don't have to redo anything at all in our data set. That's the beauty about Power BI. We didn't have to redo anything, as long as the data format still will come in this same shape. I think everything is good to go. So if someone leaves the organization, basically it means we'll have to update this column. So if they're terminated, we'll have to update this termination ID. We'll have to update the date of termination on the HRIM. So we'll have to change. So this person might get something like maybe a date of termination here, then here. So this means this particular column will change. But if like all those like this data set, the format of this data set is maintained, we'll still have the same data, like everything. We don't have to redo anything. Everything will still come in as anticipated. So I'll show you that. So if the data format here does not change, like you didn't have to redo anything at all here. The only thing you'll do, remember I talked about this refresh button. So the moment you hit this refresh button, everything else here will be able to update and be able to fetch data based on the new changes that have happened in the data set. So if someone left, And if someone leaves the organization, basically, I mean, this one will be updated, this will be updated, the employment status here will be updated. So if you have someone who is coming in new, I think I'll demonstrate using someone who is coming in as a new employee here. Trying to, I don't know. Yeah. So let's say there's someone else who's coming to the organization. So maybe the employee ID here, I can add maybe just here, maybe a 29, because we don't have such a lengthy employee ID. Then here I can say maybe that employee is called this. This is the name of the new employee who has come in. So, okay, I'll maintain this other value so that we don't have to keep changing everything and we maintain consistency. But remember, we've added a new employee, right? So I mean, it also means here on the salaries data, we have like a new change here. Maybe this particular person earns maybe $5,000 in a month. $5,000. So we have that. So everything that we've done. So long as I save, okay. Okay, just a second. Don't want to save it as a copy. So I need us to replace it in the same location. Okay, I think it was in downloads here, and then I click on save. I want to replace it, yes. So we've been able to add another employee. So at least we remember we had how many employees? 311. So I'll need to close this. And then, okay, so let's calculate. So remember, we've been able to add new columns here. So we've been able to add new columns. We've been able to add this gender column, the age in years, the age category. So, but I've added a new data point in my data set. But remember, we have something that we call measures in Power BI. So measures are basically aggregations. So like, for example, we have the total the employees here, right? But for us to be able to like calculate, to be able to tell how many employees we have, we need to use what you're calling a measure because it's an aggregate. So we can create that so that it's easy for us. So let's create a new measure. It's just an aggregation. So this measure, we're calling it total employees. Total employees, so that we're able to demonstrate when we add a new data point. So here, of course, we just want to do a distinct count on the HR data set. But what you're interested in is the employee ID, because this is the unique identifier for an employee. So we have the total employees. So see how a measure appears. A measure appears with something that looks like a calculator about it. The reason why I'm creating this measure is just to enable us to be able to demonstrate how a measure appears. So we have 311 employees. Remember, this is like the original data set we had, right? But now there's a new employee that has come into the organization on the data set. So I know, like, if I wanted now like to enjoy that. So I'll just click on refresh so that I'm able to pick. Okay. Salaries, column 3, table wasn't found. Okay. How do you go about this? So you'll go to transform data. Salaries. Okay. Okay. Just a moment. I think this happens. So HR data set on salaries, column 3 wasn't found. Okay. Then I'll save this.
The new
Yeah.
employee wasn't added to the salaries tab.
Sorry?
The new employee was not added to the salaries tab. Is that what it is?
I added. That's not there. It's showing like there's a missing column. I added the employees here on the salary. The new employee. So we have it. Okay, let me just check. It's like not finding this column 3 that we removed. Okay, I'll close and apply. Then try refresh. column 6 wasn't found on the table. Okay. Just a second. I think something happened to my data. I didn't clean it, but I don't know why I can't find it. Salary, so this column 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just trying to make it like it open. Okay. That's it. Okay, so I'll need to refresh again just to check. Okay. Yeah, so it has worked. So we had 311 employees. Okay, still showing 311. Let me close it. Let me confirm. I'm still reading data from the same location. Okay, so this is my data. So we have how many? 312. Okay, let me close it. Okay, I'll need to check why, but this is supposed to show. Okay. Okay. Did we add this? Okay, we did not add here. So it's correct. So we added on the salaries, but it did not save this. Okay, it did not even here. So let's add the new employee data. So I just copied this, pasted it here, then changed this name to this, then changed this, added a 59 here, 59. Then I copy this, then I add it here to the salaries. Then I say this person earns $5,000. And I save. Okay. Okay. Then we keep saying it's still open somewhere else. Okay. No problem. Okay, and some downloads. Then this. That's that. So let me assume it's worked. So let's refresh. Okay. Okay, let me do that demonstration in our next class so that it's easy for us. It keeps popping up an error because it's saying this is in use and it can't find the column 3. But anyway, let's do it one last time so that I'm able to show you like that nothing will change. Let me see if my column is still there. So it has disappeared again. Okay. So here I was adding 59 so that we have a new employee ID. Okay, the names can still be the same, but anyway, let me just change these. Then I can copy this, these salaries here. Then I'll add here 5,000. Okay. Because here I need something. Save that. So in downloads, this is where I'm saving it. Then I need to replace that. Okay. Let me try refresh. Yeah, so we have the 312 employees. So note, we've been able to add the 312th employee in our data. Like this is a new employee, but see, remember we gave the employee a name, right? So if you can remember the name of the employee, it was something like this. Okay, so this is the new data set that we've added. So you see, I've not changed anything. I've just refreshed the data set and it has returned everything based on the calculations that we added. So which confirms to your question. So I hope your question is answered. So you wouldn't have to redo anything. So long as the data format is maintained within the same format, everything else. And the beauty about this refresh button is that when you move now to Power BI service, this like you can be able to automate this, so you don't have to be doing it manually. So it's automated. As long as your data set again is on a live, like more of a cloud-based. So say for example on Google Sheets or maybe on a server somewhere, your data is being pulled from a server somewhere. Once you click on the automated refreshes through your gateway, your data will refresh automatically. So I believe I've answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So that's basically how it works. So yeah, I can see time is running on our side, but let's try and see also how we can be able to create other measures within our data set, so that at least by the time we're leaving this class, we'll have achieved the objectives for today's class. And so once you're able to tell like the total employees, you can maybe also be able to tell like the number of employees, maybe by gender. So here we can see a new measure just to be able to calculate the total number of employees who are male. So we can say these are male employees in the organization. So this is a measure, we just aggregate it. So for us to be able to do that, we'll still do a distinct count. But since we have already like done the distinct count, we can still use the total employees, this particular measure, but now we are counting it, but now we want to bring in a filter context. That's why you're using the calculate function. So the calculate function now enables us to be able to say where gender equals. So here you want to just pick for male employees alone. Then I click on enter. So where am I, male employee? So for me to confirm, so a measure you can only confirm it's working by dragging it into the data. So, and then of course, once you drag it here, it will bring, say for example, the chart by its choice. But now since you want to be able to pick maybe a specific type of visualization, you'll have to change it here so that we just use a card, because it's only one single metric. So we don't necessarily like have quite a lot like we have quite a lot to be able to like manage around it. And then say for example, and then again we need to do the calculation of total female employees. So anyone who will guide me how to do that? Female employees, I think it's more than the same thing. So the female employees, how we calculate that? Again, here you just do again another calculate function. Then we'll pass in the total employees, because we already calculated that, so we don't have to redo. And then we'll need to filter by again the gender. And then the gender here now changes to female instead. And then we'll close the bracket and enter. So that is how we do it. So it has created a new measure. So if we come here down here, we'll see here. So we have the female employees. So that is again, we change this to a card. Of course, the proportions, if you wanted to get the proportions of a percentage, you can still be able to create a measure that will be able to aggregate this against that. So you can explore that as well. Then let's say we want to get the total salaries. So again, the salaries table is here. So again, we create that measure on the salaries table so that we're able to tell the total salaries that are paid, total salary. Okay, and just say the salaries so that you're able to display that on a dashboard. So here, instead we'll use a sum because it's a numeric value you are computing. So again, here we just put in the salary column because we know where it's coming from. And then enter. So again, we bring this in here. some mesh, and then change it to a CAD. So this is the total amount of salaries that are paid to employees within our organization. So I'll push this to the end. Try to resize it. Then, okay. And push these ones somewhere closer to it. Okay. Then this similarly. And then I'll push this somewhere here. Okay. So the beauty about it is that you can come up with the like a design for a page, but you can also be able to, once you've been able to like know where it will fit, you can still utilize this. Okay, so that you ensure like the format is still the same for all your pages. And then say, for example, you wanted to be able to create an aggregation maybe of the employees, maybe by the department. So we can create a table showing that. So you have your department here, then maybe you have the total number of employees in that particular department. So remember we had a measure that was showing the total employees per department so that it's easy for us to be able to check and to be able to know. So we can create a chart showing that, maybe a bar chart showing that. And maybe we can create a bar and line chart so that maybe we put in the salaries on the x-axis and the total employees on the y-axis. So then I'll move in the salaries to the column axis. So we have something like that. We'll do the formatting later. So yeah, so you can be able to see production has the highest salaries, though it also has the highest number of employees. So there's somehow a relationship between the number of employees in a department by also the salaries that are being paid to that particular department. And then we can also check maybe the recruitment source, which recruitment source, maybe you're answering to the question whereby which recruitment source has the most employees working in this organization. So some metrics around recruitment and change that to a bar chart. So you can be able to see Indeed, most employees in this organization are hired from Indeed. Then we can also check by checking. Okay, let's look at maybe the by the, okay, we checked about department. Okay, okay, the age category. So remember we created a categorization of the age. Let's see how many employees are contained in which age category, so that it's easy for us to be able to tell by the numbers. So you can easily be able to check maybe a certain department and you're able to tell the number of employees by that specific. So you can be able to see most people in the organization are between 41, 50 years. Then we can also check by, okay, the race. So we can bring in the race and then we bring in the total employees just to be able to check whether there's any relationship between, okay, so this one again we can use, okay, we can use this clustered bar chart just to enable us to be able to understand that particular. So you can see most people in the organization are white. So we're already starting to come up with a dashboard. I just wanted us to demonstrate that. So you choose the type of chart, maybe the question you're trying to be able to answer so that it's easy for you. So I think maybe in the next class, we shall be able to finalize on this and then we'll be good to go. Any questions up to here? Sorry for taking 5 minutes into this. But I just wanted to show you this so that at least when you start playing with your data set in your Power BI, you can try to build something similar to this. Any questions? Any comments?
Sorry, I've asked you so many questions today. Maybe
No issues.
on either of these, you can show us how to use slices.
Yeah, so I'll show you how to add a slice in the next class.
Okay.
Definitely, I'll do that. I wouldn't miss to tell you that. I just wanted for us to be on the same page. Or maybe if you allowed me like another 3 minutes, I don't think it will take long. I can do that if you guys are comfortable with it. Okay. What do you guys say? Should we continue? Should we stop here and do it in the next class? Martin?
I think you can use the 3 minutes.
Okay. I hope the rest of you are comfortable. Okay, so for you to be able to add a slicer, it's not something difficult. A slicer is almost just similarly to like the same way we have like a filter to our data. So that's why I was avoiding to use the state. So we can use the state. Okay, let's use the date slicer so that someone can filter through our data to be able to see. So we can be able to add a slicer here. And then we put in the date of hire so that someone can easily filter through our report to be able to see by the date of hire through our reports. So I'll try to move this to this far end so that I'm able to accommodate the slice here. Okay. Okay, we'll do the aesthetics a little bit later so that we're able to have our dashboard. So this already we've added here the date slicer. So you can be able to see the minimum date of hire is already included here. So it's 9th of January 2006. And the maximum date of hire is July 9th of July 2018 as according to our data. So if you wanted to maybe check, maybe just to be able to know how many people are hired in a specific period, you can still be able to do that. So you just need to play around with this, maybe just to be able to see how many people are hired maybe in 2007. So I'll just filter here for 2007 on my data set. Okay, so I'll put up to December. And that means like everything on everything else on your dashboard here will be filtered for that particular year. So that's why you have this. You can still move around with this just to be able to ensure you're getting your dashboard back to where it's supposed to be. And then maybe we have maybe another slicer for maybe the state so that we are able to see maybe the state. So you can again add here the state. So this is the slicer. So you can also be able to make it to have a search button so that it's easy for someone to find. So if I want to be able to see all the employees from New York, just click on New York and it will show you only have one employee from that particular state. And this is their age. They are Black, African, and American. They are from the sales department. So if you want to remove it, you just backspace and you select. Okay, it should have a select all. So I'll show you how to utilize this. So this has a settings button here. So on the selection, you can include it to have maybe a select all so that if someone is speaking something, you can easily navigate to ensure like everything else is selected. That's how you're able to create a slicer onto your report. Yeah, simply that. I hope I've answered to your question. And our report is already coming up to our dashboard, so we are making progress. Martin,
Wow.
are you okay?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Somebody else? Okay, if there are no further questions, remember to save your work. So I'll save my work. So I'll just save this PBX file. So it will take me, okay, I can browse this device and just be able to see where I need to save my work. Okay, I don't want to save it in downloads. I have a new folder. So this is my new folder. Okay, this is cohort. This is cohort
666.
Cohort 6. Okay. So I'll come here and just name it cohort 6. Cohort 6. Okay, just that is enough for me to identify it. So that the next time we come back, I'll still be able to reopen this we can continue from where we left. So thank you very much. On your end, also remember to save your work into a folder of your choice. And then also this is an important link for you to be able to learn how the DAX functions play. So you can as well try to read through that if you are stuck with the DAX formula. And without any further ado, I wish to end it here and hand over the meeting back to Joel. Sorry for taking another extra 11 minutes outside your schedule, but I believe it was worth it. Asanteni sana. Have a good evening. Over to you, Joel.